Hi, today I want to begin talking about list views. In this section, there are two videos to discuss list views. The first discusses a simple list view and then clicking on one item in the list to get it to do something. And the second discusses looking at list views as a view into a SQLite database. So first of all, we want to talk about a simple list view. List view control is going to display a list of entries. So if we drag out a list view onto our layout XML, the elements of the list are going to be configurable via an XML layout for each element. So we need to have if we do this in a main activity, in a subclass of activity, we're going to need two layout XMLs. The first describes the layout of the activity itself, and the second describes the layout of each cell in the list, or each item in the list. We populate a list view using a generic adapter, and this can be any type of generic list type adapter. So we can use a list, we can use an array list, which is normal. We can use anything that we want as long as it's a generic list type. If the only item or the only control in your activity, in your main activity, or in some other activity of your application is going to be a list view, use the list activity class for that activity rather than activity. What this does for you is it creates it relieves you of the obligation to create a layout XML for the activity, and you can concentrate on creating only the layout XML for each item in the list. If we're going, however, to embed a list view inside an activity with other controls along with it, it has to be manually populated. So there will have to be an activity subclass and then a list view added to that, and then we'll have to have both a layout XML for the activity and a layout XML for each cell in the list, let's say. Now, list views also provide us with some simple layouts that don't require a separate layout XML, and this is good for extremely simple layouts. However, if you're going to have any sort of complexity, if you're going to want multiple controls or even a single button, let's say, inside each item in the list, you'll need to specify that layout itself in a separate layout XML for the list view. So now this list adapter, as I said, it's a generic, and we use it to provide the information for each item in the list. And this is usually an array adapter of type string. If we only want to display single pieces of information, that's fine. However, if each item is going to display multiple strings, we can use a hash map string, or a hash map string, and then even hash map string int, let's say. Or if we want even a more complex view, a hash map of string and then an array list, for example. And this will give us a key value where the values are an array that we can use to populate our items list. So elements in an adapter, we can hard code them, or we can source them from a content provider. In other words, we can provide this list as a hard-coded list of elements in our adapter, or we can source them out of a content provider using something called a content resolver that we're going to talk about. When we talk about content providers, we can use this or connecting to a database. Now, we don't have to use a content provider. In fact, if the only sourcing of the data in that database is going to be within our app, we don't use a content provider. The only time we would really use a content provider, and this really is kind of jumping the gun into chapter, I think it's 6, or the video set 6 with content providers, the only time we use a content provider is when we want to provide data to another application. Inside of our own application, we should just simply use a SQLite database, which is what we talk about in the next discussion. But we can source elements in this adapter either through code or from a SQLite database or from a content provider that connects to another application's SQLite database, let's say. It's very flexible. So now, usually in a list view, we don't just present the information. We want to also be able to allow the user to click on an item and have something happen. So for this, we need to build an on-item click listener in our list view, and that's going to respond to a tap on a single item in the list. Now, this on-item click method that we override inside the listener is going to provide us with the parent, which is the adapter view that that list view is. It'll provide us with a view pointer, which is going to be the list item. It's going to provide us with a position in the list, and this is going to be zero-based. So if they click on the first item in the list, that integer position will be 0. And then it's also going to provide us with the ID of the clicked subview in that list. So this ID is the row ID of the item clicked. And then we can obtain the details of what item was clicked from the parameters passed into this on-item clicked handler. So we use an on-item click listener to wrap an on-item click handler. Remember that for the quiz. Hint, hint, hint. A list view, if we provide only an on-click listener, this will trap any click inside the list view, and it won't give us back this very important integer, which is position, which is really what we use to determine which item in the list was clicked. We also use the view because now any subviews will be available through their ID using that view parameter. Okay, thank you.